Any chance of a future discussion with Milo?
No.
Okay, fair
Waste of
enough.
time.
Yeah.
I'd rather talk with people who have something to say.
Hey guys, today I'd like to talk about shock jocks or media provocateurs, and to do that I'm going to use examples from both sides of politics, being Milo Yiannopoulos and Clementine Ford. Both of these people have created mass followings from pretty much nothing but bully tactics, and they have mostly boilerplate opinions aligned to their side of politics. Milo uses camp to dress up the fact that on most subjects he's a pretty standard conservative libertarian, while Ford seems to have rolled straight off the gender studies production line, and she's basically just a conformist to the progressive narrative. Now the point of this video is not to critique either of these ideologies, that's a different video for a different day. No, I want to talk strategy, and to work out, on balance, do these people help or harm their own cause?
Of course it's an absurd premise. The idea that feminism is about man-hating has been one of the central oppositions and central points of humour for people within the feminist movement.
But you know it's provocative, right?
Of course it's provocative. The other
So
thing that
why
I've
provoke?
always done, though, is that I've always done it publicly. I've done it publicly because it's not something that I'm hiding behind closed doors. And to say, well, why provoke, when actually oftentimes it's using humour as defence, because I don't just go to someone's account and say that. I say that in direct response to them suggesting that my feminist views can all be boiled down to the fact that as a feminist, and of course as an ugly feminist, all I want is all men to die. I mean, that's absurd. I want a better world for everyone, and that includes for men too.
Okay, Lauren?
Didn't you tweet things specifically about Daisy while she was already on the Q&A panel talking?
I tweeted that Daisy, I didn't agree with what Daisy was saying, and I didn't think she was very smart.
Daisy, how did you take it?
Way to the realm of ad hominem as well.
But ad hominem is different to
No, it's
actually
personal.
saying,
It's not
Daisy,
about the
let's
subject.
go to Daisy. I'd like to know how it made you feel. What did
Right.
Clem say and how did it make you feel?
Well, just on the topic of sort of online abuse that women receive, I receive a lot of it too. 75% of it, I would say, comes from women who are feminists. And quite a few from you, Clemmy, I believe, over a 2-month period. It wasn't just February 6th when I was on Q&A. It went on for a little while, so that it got particularly bad in March over an article that I wrote about the late, great Bill Leak, where you set your 70,000 Twitter followers on me along with Dee Madigan and made comments on everything, to my appearance, to my upbringing.
I never commented on your appearance.
You didn't?
I believe that of the two of us, it's only been you who's commented on
A
your
rebuttal, though.
As a rebuttal, as a retaliation after 2 months.
me commenting
Can I just
on-
finish, please? It seems to me, particularly with the way you've spoken about, say, esteemed conservative journalist Rita Panahi, you said, no matter how hard she tries, she'll never be a white male. And some rather nasty things you've called Miranda Devine as well, profanities that I won't say on this programme.
I called her
Yeah.
Whoa, there it is.
I think
That just went where?
I think perhaps my point is you only want women up there who agree with you.
That's not true. It's not that I only want women up there who
And
agree
why
with
do
me.
you make
On the
why
Miranda-
have you never attacked my argument, Clementine?
But I have attacked your argument.
When?
I've criticised the things that you write about. One of the reasons why I hated your Bill Leak piece so much was because you proudly set yourself out as someone who takes pride in trolling people on the internet.
But don't you as well?
In what way did I troll people by writing a tribute article to Bill Leak? I wrote a very
You said that you
sweet...
considered yourself to be a provocateur who took pride in triggering snowflakes on the internet.
If I'm occasionally mean, it's normally because they deserve it.
With my name calling and with my provocation and with my bad manners, I think actually America's had enough of nice manners. If my rudeness creates conversation, my rudeness provokes people into, first of all, saying, oh, what a monster, blah, 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 and then 20% of people start talking about what I was actually saying, I will consider my career to have been a terrific success.
Well, at least Milo owns it, but Clementine is suffering from a massive case of projection. You'll notice she's using the label of provocateur to dismiss another woman's argument, which is a strategy that I've actually seen quite a lot. I guess before going on a rant about these kinds of tactics, I should start off by saying that labelling someone a provocateur is not a refutation of their argument. Someone can make an argument in an intentionally inflammatory way and still be making very valid points. And it also doesn't imply that they're in any way disingenuous about their beliefs. I'm very sure that Milo and Ford believe the ideas that they're pushing. Milo is an openly gay man who claims to be opposed to gay marriage, and I believe him. And when Clementine says she believes that we live in a society that condones and normalizes rape, well, I believe her too, despite the fact that both of their positions are ridiculous. No, labeling someone a provocateur is not labeling them dishonest. All we're doing is describing the tactics used. The old schoolyard bully game of trying to get a reaction out of someone.
Men take up far too much space in feminist discourse. They are the looming shadow in the room, the invisible spectre that dictates women's discussions and dominates mainstream feminist concern. We've been instructed so readily to worry about what men will think that we have elevated their thoughts and feelings above our own. A good deal of women have now learned to pepper their feminism with caveats, sentiments designed to reassure people that feminism is really rather a gentle kind of philosophy, just a group of nice women doing nice things, and we'd like equality if that's okay with everyone else, but don't worry, it's definitely not going to change your life, and we're absolutely not talking about you. In its quest to be palatable and welcoming, feminism has gone down a dangerous path of becoming too conciliatory in its aims. You'll no doubt have been at a public talk or discussion about feminism and heard reassurances that of course we're not talking about all men, that of course the men in this room are good, decent ones who care fiercely about women's rights, that most men, in fact, 99% if you believe the statistics that regularly get sent to me, most men are wonderful human beings who wouldn't lift a finger against a woman and who certainly never ever participate in or benefit from the structures which oppress us. Not all men. With the greatest of respect, I'd like to call this what it is. Total bullshit.
Remember the game being played here. They win by making you angry. Well, let's break it down. First off, these people are attention seekers, and if you show anger, they know they've gotten your attention. Second, by making you angry, they've controlled you. And through that control, they've demonstrated to others that they have a higher status than you. That draws admirers to the bully, and thus more attention. The rest is just about telling their new fans what they want to hear, and that's where the conformism comes in. But they also want to keep them entertained as well.
I heard from my left just now the very cruel and unkind comment. Did you hear what it was? You need some dick in your life. And no, stop. It was mean. It was mean. Don't applaud. Applaud later. I have a theory about this. Now...
Oh, you ready to bust out that theory that I heard this afternoon? This is that theory? Here we go.
Well, it's about Black Lives Matter. I've got this theory that it's basically a sort of militaristic lesbianic cult. Now, if you look at the men in Black Lives Matter, cucked as fuck, right? They're these whiny... I mean, DeRay is a homosexual, for a start. Sean King, messed up, white. The guys are these sort of like wiry, weedy, little rich kids who are like squealing on stage about whatever. And other than that, it's mostly black women. It's mostly black women being the most hysterical and causing the most fuss. And they're all lesbians.
Milo is much better at the entertaining part, and give the guy his due, he's actually very witty and he can tell a joke. Ford is not witty at all, but she can bring the lowbrow when she wants to. She makes up for it by being better at provoking, and actually the fact that she isn't very sharp is a blessing here. I've actually read Clementine Ford's book, and on a technical level it's probably the worst written book I've ever read from a professional author. But somehow it's also the most effective book that I've read, if we judge effectiveness by its ability to achieve its goal, which is to infuriate the reader. I mean, I knew the game Ford was playing before I even started reading the thing, but her style makes it very hard not to be suckered into being angry with her. I don't know that I've ever read a book before where I've disagreed with almost every sentence individually, which on Ford's part is actually quite a skill. One interesting tactic she uses is that she'll present an opponent's argument very succinctly, making it sound very reasonable and very well argued. And then she'll provide a rebuttal which fails even a basic logic check. One chapter is based around the question that I guess she gets asked a lot. Does she hate men? And if so, why does she hate men? Well, she then spends the rest of the chapter dodging those questions. Why would anyone pose a question in their own book that they didn't want to answer? Or at least reframe the question in a way that suited their argument? But no, she sets this trap and then she just steps into it. It's like watching Wile E. Coyote trying to debate, and it's totally infuriating. If she's doing this intentionally, then it's a masterstroke. I mean, it's almost impossible to read this and not get angry. She's either a genius or an idiot, and I still have no idea which one it is. But either way, making you angry, well, that's the goal. But Ford's part of the politically correct crowd, so she has to actually work a lot harder to get people angry enough to step over the political line. The bar for Milo is actually set much lower. All he really needs to do to upset people is to throw around a few childish insults. I mean, seriously.
Stop taking the bait, liberals. The fact that they all freaked out
Wasn't
about
it
this
pathetic?
little impish British fag. You fucking fool girl.
But to his credit, he's actually quite good at making the insults funny, and he's also good at the cut and thrust of debate. Well, that comes from the fact that he's very used to being challenged. With Clementine, not so much.
Yes.
If you don't show up to debate, you lose.
Right.
Late last year it was put to the test when Milo did a tour of Australia. He laid down the gauntlet and challenged Ford to a debate. That might have been entertaining, but wouldn't have been very productive. But anyways, maybe would have gotten a few fireworks out of it or a few laughs. But we'll never know because she wimped out. Here's her excuse. Man, that's pretty weak sauce. But she seems to think that this is some kind of mic drop moment. And so did her followers. Tweet after tweet applauding her for being a coward. Of course, Milo fans were also crying, as I guess in this case they probably should be, but somehow everyone seems to think that they'd won. From the outside, they all look like a bunch of kids. But I guess Milo and Ford are onto that because they're both big on schoolyard insults.
Teaching as a profession does not attract the highest IQ candidates. It's true of your professors as much as it is of high school teachers. If they were smarter, they'd be in a real job. People feel like they have to go through the motions of being like kind and polite and deferential to teachers. Oh, it's such a great profession. No, they're fucking idiots and they're all left-wing cunts.
And actually, for what they're trying to do, these are very effective. Juvenile taunts hit their target right in the lizard brain, and it's difficult not to respond at the same level. Well, doing that's a mistake because it gives a provocateur exactly what they want, and at least some people will always fall for it. When they do, the provocateur will just point and say, look how angry they are. Well, they're the real problem. The target doesn't realise that it isn't a fair fight until it's too late. Milo and Ford both have positions in the media and are more than happy to use their platform to present a one-sided version of the story, reframing the reaction of the target out of context from their own provocation. Clementine Ford especially loves this strategy.
What is it actually like waking up every day, wondering whether you might be getting a torrent of abuse online from people who don't even know you?
You can always predict when the abuse might come in, and it's usually when something specific has occurred. On the worst day, it would be hundreds. All of them saying pretty much the same thing, and from people I've never ever encountered in my entire life. And often I'll screen cap and I'll share those messages again with other people.
Hey gorgeous, can I see you naked? Slut, kill yourself.
If you want to be treated like a piece of meat, then you're going the right way about it. You sicken me, you vile c***. Please sit on a butcher's knife so you may never be able to reproduce.
When you take their messages and you broadcast it to a much bigger audience, it positions them suddenly as the subject of critique. When you fight back against that by turning the spotlight on them, it suddenly gives you the power, and it also makes them very angry.
Some people would say that your writing or your articles do poke the trolls. Why keep doing it?
You know, I get told, just block them, so I block them. And then I get told, oh, you can't handle debate, you can't handle criticism, you just silence and censor people. So you can't really win.
Of course, if you'd never read any of Ford's articles, you might not know how inflammatory her writing style is. The game works like this. She writes articles intended to make people angry, and some people are dumb enough to respond to her at her own level. She then cherry picks the worst responses and writes an article about all the abuse that she receives online. Oh, woe is she. Of course, these comments just drop out of the sky, and everyone should feel sorry for her. Yeah, some people are actually buying this line of bullshit. If her job is to provoke anger in people and she receives large amounts of anger on a daily basis, then what's happened is that she's succeeded in doing her job. We shouldn't be feeling sorry for this person. We should be congratulating her on a job well done.
We do run everything
Facts can't be racist, you know? Jews do, like, are vastly overrepresented in the media. Vastly overrepresented in banking. No.
Come on, man.
Everybody says it.
Come
Okay.
on.
It's
You
there.
told me you were Christian, you were
No,
atheist,
it's
you
there.
told me you were black,
I've never said I was atheist. No one's ever said anything so awful to me. I never said I was atheist. My God.
So everyone gets pissed off and the provocateur gets popular. But where does that get everyone? Well, on a professional level, they've both been able to make very successful careers out of it. But for the people who disagree with them, well, they hate them with a passion, and obviously these people haven't been convinced of anything. For the people who do agree with the provocateur, it's entertaining to see your enemies put in their place, but again, no one's being convinced. But let's face it, both of these groups were probably not going to change their minds anyway. So what about the people who really matter? What about the people who haven't made up their minds yet what side they're on? I'd like to think that they're going to see this game for what it is, but that's only going to happen if they're paying enough attention to work out what's going on. For most of them, the reaction will be based on the way the behaviour is presented to them, combined with what type of person they are. Most normal people will probably just ignore the whole thing for its stupidity, while the oversensitive types will be repelled and flock to the opposite side. But who's attracted by this? What type of person becomes a follower? Well, the type of person who follows a bully is someone who's too fucking spineless to become one themselves. Think about this strategically. What type of person would you rather have on your side? Sure, these guys can be entertaining, but before you give them your time, your money, or your support, think about whether that's actually in the interest of your cause. Shock jocks like Milo or Clementine drive away the people you want on your side and attract those you'd be better off without. And the net effect is that they cast their own movements in a bad light. Stop supporting these people and for fuck's sake stop taking the bait.